Welcome to the Cam and Joe Show. My name is Joe Steele. I'm with my good friend Cameron Elkins.
Morning, buddy. How are you, man?
I am better. I get to hang out with you.
Oh, I love you. Last Friday in February.
I know, man.
Let's rock and roll. It's been an awesome month.
It's been so good. I mean, we had Angelica Gomer in here. We've had Larissa
Childers.
Just them talking about relationships. And
Yeah.
like, I think I learned a lot from it. Just even asking the questions, I was like, whoa.
I had a ton of takeaways. I think one of the biggest, if you were to go back, and actually if you're popping onto the podcast right now, and if this is going to be your first podcast, I would honestly say maybe even go back an episode or two.
Yep.
Watch our interview with Larissa Childers.
Yep.
She is a therapist. Watch our interview with Angelica Gomer. She's a therapist as well. It being Love Month, we wanted to kind of get down into the nitty and gritty of discussing identity and roles and relational roles. And today we kind of just wanted to have a little bit of an unpacking of those two. So if anything, today is going to be kind of a breakdown of what we took from those two episodes,
Absolutely.
those two interviews, and just kind of talk a little bit more about our friendships, our friendship, our friendships, and our relationships that we're in.
All the ships.
But no, all the ships in the sea. I think the biggest takeaway that I had from both of those interviews was they kept going back to identity. So while we're talking about relationships, which makes me instantly think of others, the magic was in knowing yourself.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Because you're always going to bring more to the table if you are whole, right? I've always said that the best relationships are one 100% whole person and another 100% whole person.
Yep.
Oftentimes relationships don't work out because
100%.
You'll have a 70 and a 30 or a 50 and a 50. And somebody may say, hey, 50 and 50 is perfect. It's 100. No, because the second that the wind comes and the seas come, that 50 is going to turn into a 30. And unless you're ready to slide up to a 70 real quick, you guys are going to be in the middle of some treacherous water. So my take on that, because when we were talking about relationships, they kept going back to identity.
Oh, absolutely.
Knowing yourself, having your own boundaries, having your own relational boundaries, setting up when they continue to talk about boundaries in general, I feel it kind of has a negative tone to it, right? It's like a stop sign. It's red and it's bright, and it could seem like a roadblock, but it's for our safety, right? So 100%. Boundaries are the same, right? Absolutely. It's a wall. Tear down the wall. Well, if we don't have them, that's a bad thing, right?
Oh, yeah. I agree 100%. We also have Annie on the podcast as well. Annie, go ahead and say hey.
Whoop, hello.
She's our producer, so
you may
hear her voice, and if you hear her voice, I'm not doing a really good puppet impersonation. It's actually another person.
Annie, I think this is our first time on the Cam and Joe show that we actually have you mic'd in. Is that right?
Yes, on the podcast. Yes. I was in Bropinions though.
You were.
You were in Bropinions. You were in Bropinions.
I need to post that. But
how's your morning going, Annie?
It's going great. I'm really happy. I feel really good. I'm happy to be with good friends.
Love it.
So
happy you're here.
Great.
So you do an incredible job. Just to make your head a little bit bigger this morning, you do an incredible job.
Absolutely.
Behind the scenes, like this could honestly just be the Annie show with Cam and Joe.
Yeah, it's true.
We need to somehow get you up into the title, but you're incredible what you do, Annie. I love you. I'm happy that we've met through this, and your future in production is extremely high because your ceiling is extremely high. So
absolutely,
keep working hard. We love having you as a part of the show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and don't cry into the microphone. I mean, I can't.
I'll make sure.
He's the good cop. I have to be the tough cop.
Yeah,
I can't say I'm the bad cop.
No.
So what you were talking about relationships, though.
Yeah,
you're not wrong when it comes to knowing who you are, and I think and I think we're in a place in all of society. Mm-hmm. Everything has to be challenged. Every type of norm has to be challenged. Every type of term has to be challenged. Think of the identification of pronouns. Challenging the basic words we've used for millions of years.
Yeah.
Some of that is a war against nomenclatures, and some of that is, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And I feel like we're answering questions and going through a circle as much as if we had good relationships. We wouldn't have to go through this circle.
Yeah.
But I mean, think of politically, it's the same thing. We're running into, why are we doing this? Why are you spending this money? Why are you doing this? Why are you saying this and not following through with it? Same questions being asked.
Yeah.
Even religiously. Why are you a building that exists?
Yeah.
COVID was a perfect example of like, well, if you really don't matter, close your doors. Right. And people devalued that huge. So I think that we're in a huge shift. Everyone is reformatting their brain and going, who am I?
Yeah.
Who actually am I?
Who am I? What is normal?
Yeah.
And like, and it's kind of like it's a opportunity to foundation check. It's an opportunity to kind of reach down with a stick and see if the cement has dried. Yeah. And if it hasn't, let's figure out what we can do individually.
Yep.
And I'd say the goal culturally, and figure out new norms. And I mean, in my opinion, those new norms is maybe taking a step a little bit back in time.
Yeah.
And figuring out identity.
100%.
Because if we don't have it, we don't have that foundation that we can build on.
Exactly.
We can't bring anything to a relationship.
Yeah.
We can't and that's why I love this huge lean into businesses as part of their onboarding process.
Yep.
Having people doing identification tests.
Yep.
Because they're talking about, okay, well, what are you bringing to the table? What are your strengths and weaknesses? And it's for the employer so they can best kind of figure out where you're going to go.
But it's also
it's for you.
Great for you.
And it's going to be an opportunity for you to kind of do a little bit of a deep dive in a certain, like for instance, Enneagram.
Oh yeah.
Enneagram.
Oh yeah.
So I'm an Enneagram 3.
Shout out to the soundtrack.
There you go. Yeah, I like your
Sleeping at Last.
There you go.
Gosh, magic.
I love Sleeping at Last. Anyways, we'll get back to that. Oh, it's just so good, Sleeping at Last. So Enneagram 3, Wing 2. Enneagram 3 is the performer.
Yep.
That is me. I value, and this is about relationships, so about ourselves, identity. Yep. I value, and this may be seen as a negative, may be seen as a positive, kind of depending on what lens you're looking through. But I value performance.
Sure.
And I get a rise when my performance is seen. Oh, and that's a 3. Right?
Oh, no, totally.
So like literally last night when we got in from Disneyland, there was a box on my front door and it was a performance award for customer service through 2023.
Oh, that's amazing.
From my employer.
Yeah.
And every bit of me as a 3, the performer,
and you're like,
the performer who wants the accolades of, hey, attaboy.
Sure.
I work for attaboys, call it what you will.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That scratches a super deep itch.
Sure.
My wing, so if you know Enneagram, you are a number of 1 through a 9, right? You do some kind of backwards testing to figure out what most feels like you, right?
Annie, can you pull that up and actually tell
that would
them?
be awesome. Let's go.
I know
So as a 3 wing 2, you always have your base number, your foundational number, and then kind of you tiptoe into one or you wing into another one.
Yeah.
As a 3, foundational 3 with a wing 2, the 2 is a helper.
Absolutely.
Which now, I mean, knowing myself, that's exactly who I am.
Absolutely.
Not that I have my identity and a number and a wing. It's just me. It's just what gets me out of bed is my drive, and it's good in business to be a 3, right? Because you're a self-starter, you're motivated.
100%.
That's kind of the negative side. Knowing about yourself, the more you know about yourself, it's not all good.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, that's kind of narcissistic to want those accolades. But at the same time, winging into a 2, that's the helper. Sure. That's the, hey, let's set up at the food bank. Let's do this community walk. Let's go pick up trash. Let's help in this with Salvation Army and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I'm like, the more you dive into identity and its role in relationships.
Absolutely.
What I have felt a great way to do so is leaning in and reading into the Enneagram. And honestly, something that my family and I did when we started to dive into Enneagram 2-3 years ago, when it started to get really big, was to not take the Enneagram test, but instead to read a page or two, kind of deep dive into each 1 through 9 and figure out what resonates with you the most. Because the questions I felt are a little loaded, and it kind of forces you down one or the other.
Well, it needs to.
So I think correct. It because it's setting up the boundaries of that personality, if you would. But I'd say, if anything, take the Enneagram test to get to know yourself a little bit more.
Too. So just what are they so that people can...
So number 1 is the
Yeah.
reformer.
Perfect.
Number 2 is the helper. I am also a little bit of this type.
Sure.
Number 3, the achiever. Number 4, the individualist. Number 5, the investigator. Number 6, the loyalist. Number 7, the enthusiast. Number 8, the challenger. And number 9, the peacemaker.
Dig it. That's awesome. Yeah.
I love that. I think the Enneagram, the road,
Sure.
I think it's called The Road Back to You.
Yeah.
The first book that came out by the author, the creator of Enneagram. Truly, haven't even finished it yet, but I read through the chapter on the 3 and I was like,
You hit it on the head.
literally weeping through that chapter, because I don't know, I think there's just so much magic in knowing yourself and knowing some whys, and then realizing, okay, we all have our ticks. We all have things that make us better as friends, worse off as friends. And I think if we know and get to know ourselves a little bit more, from a strengths and weaknesses standpoint,
absolutely,
we become better in our relationships with our spouses, relationships with our friends,
100%,
coworkers, and everything else.
Well, I think an opportunity to better ourselves and to better
100%.
the other person. And so if you're not trying in every situation, looking at the best outcome for all parties, then you need to reassess you.
100%.
And I think that really comes down to, like Angelica talked a little bit about the selfish nature. And that is what destroys more relationships than anything. It's like, no, you're not giving me what I need. There is that balance.
Yeah.
There's 100% that balance. I love my wife. We celebrating 14 years.
Let's go, baby.
Super excited. Yeah, I'm 34 and I'm celebrating 14 years.
Shout out to Regina. Hey, there you go. 34,
You know what I mean?
14 years.
But it has helped me.
I was there at the beginning. I was there when y'all met.
I know, man. It's amazing.
Love that story.
But the big thing that I see is you change and evolve. Over the 14 years, my love for my wife has only gotten stronger. It hasn't gotten weaker. And it's because, and even the things that I used to like, I don't like anymore.
Yeah.
And I've changed. Even tastes have changed. Different thoughts have changed. Different things have changed. But in that, I may have changed, but my love for her has just gotten stronger. And then she's adapted with me through those changes. Because every situation I find myself in, I'm going, okay, what do I actually want? Because, I love my wife. We go to the same restaurants and eat, and I go, I'm tired of eating here. I want to try something else out.
Yeah.
Right? But that's an adventurous side of me.
Yeah.
She is like, she could eat the same thing and be totally content. And I'm like, is there a spot?
Yeah, can we switch it up a little bit?
Yeah. And so she's like, yeah, sure.
Venture out.
And so from that, though, she's even gone, oh, I like to try new things. I like to try, and so I've noticed that we've rubbed off on each other in a really positive way. And I think that if your relationship by yourself isn't strong, like you said, your relationship with your wife isn't going to be strong.
Yeah.
And you need to find the balance in those things. But I also think that the way you treat your kids is a huge determinant of how you're going to treat your spouse. And then it's that balance too, because if I know who I am and then I have a kid, being a father is extra. Like I'm me.
Yep.
And I'm a father.
Correct.
I'm not just
You're not just
a father.
a father. Yep.
And what happens is somebody, at least from my observations, I'm not a psychiatrist.
No, you
this
are.
would have been a great question to ask.
You are
somebody.
so true. You're hitting it on the head.
If I have kids, I'm now a father. I'm me and a father.
Correct.
Right? And when I get married, I'm me and I'm married. Right? I am still me. I am the continuing factor in all of these things.
Yeah.
And if all of a sudden being a father overtakes who I am and I lose myself in it, if my work overtakes who I am and I lose myself, or my marriage overtakes at any point, that's when you start to get into depression and you don't know why, because you're not being true to yourself. And I think that's why we're finally at a place of refoundationalizing it. Everything is being questioned and challenged because we haven't answered the question in so long as a country for years.
Yeah. As a people in general.
Just in general. And you can get lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
And lose everything that's about you.
And there's so much, so to speak on marriage and marriage failure, there is a ton of study on empty nesters, and a lot of that being that time period, that 5 to 6 years, even sooner, after all the kids fly the coop. They're the two individuals married, great, have kids, refocus. Okay, now it's about the kids. The second those kids are gone, whoa, you were no longer Sarah, you became mom, and I was no longer so-and-so, I became dad.
Yep.
Our identities changed, and then next thing you know, there's no kids at home to parent.
Yeah.
And looking across the table like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, exactly.
And my love and my foundation of who I am is now as a parent.
Yeah.
And I don't have a channel to give that love to.
Well, and that's the thing. And well, people wonder,
different ways.
how does divorce even happen in a situation like that? Someone had been married for 30 years. It happened every day.
Yeah.
It didn't happen overnight. It literally happened every day, slowly.
Yeah.
That you didn't say I love you.
Mm-hmm.
You decided to have a day you didn't tell the person that you loved them. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you didn't kiss them goodnight.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're sleeping in separate rooms because your sleep schedule is a little off.
Yeah.
And it's slowly, you just slowly have divorced your whole life from that person.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why.
Yeah.
I don't. I look at it very plain as day. It's like, oh.
Yeah. If you remove all the filters and you just look at it for what it's worth, you're like, I mean, we could break this down in a session, or we could just talk about the simple facts of what makes a relationship work.
Yeah.
And what makes a relationship.
Yeah. And there's this there's this empathy in me that totally understands. Like, I have a rebellious streak in me. You know this about me.
Yep.
I have a rebellious streak inside of me, and I hate the phrase because I said so. I can't.
Because I said so?
Because I said so.
That's awful.
I hate that phrase.
Yeah.
Even with my kids, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I
try to navigate around that.
They'll be like, and I'll tell them, if I say, hey, right now you just need to do what I say, I'll tell you later. They'll ask me.
I'll break it down. I'll break it down. I will make it make sense.
Time sensitive sometimes, sometimes not, right?
No.
But that phrase I can't stand. And the other phrase I can't stand, well, it's always been that way. Oh.
Yeah. Ugh.
And so now you have religious systems that are, it's always been that way. Marriage systems that are, it's always been that way. And it's like, and so I understand.
Cultural norms. It's always been that way.
I understand everyone asking these questions. I am nothing but empathetic towards it. And I go, I get it. But there's that amount of, I also see the mental health crisis inside of it as well. Yeah. And I go, you don't know who you are, and then you're asking identifying terms of saying, who am I? And you're expecting these definitions to be who you are when you are an amalgamation of all of these things.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, I'm depressed. No, you're not.
No, you are not depressed.
No.
You are experiencing something.
You're experiencing an emotion.
Yeah.
I'm angry. Okay. Well, yeah. But what is
that?
No,
you
anger?
have a name.
Yeah. What is it telling you, though? And like, if you're trying to find passions inside of people and you're trying to pull those things out, I always go, what's the thing that you hate? Well, why? Because then that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take that anger and frustration you have and put it in a place where it's now a skill for you. You're using it instead of it using you.
I love that.
Shutting you down.
I love that.
So, find out people that they hate abuse of any type, which no one should like it.
No.
But there are some people that hate it.
Sure.
Right? I can read it and go, man, it's awful. And it doesn't resonate in me.
It doesn't set you on fire.
It doesn't. But I've also never had that experience.
Yeah.
But somebody that has that experience goes, oh, I can't take this anymore. Well, don't go out and be a vigilante. Don't Batman this crap.
Yeah.
Find an organization. Find somewhere you can take that passion and serve it. Why do you think the most benefactors to any homelessness and food and all those things are people that grew up without that are now giving? Because they knew what it was like without. Is that empathy element.
The empathy that comes from their own experience without whatever it is that they're being able to give and give back to the community.
So
I love those people.
Yeah, and that's the strength of your identity. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, how do I know what I am? Okay, ask yourself the question, what do I hate?
Yeah.
What do I
love? I like that. I love that that's kind of turning it on the ear. Or, what do you run from and why?
Because your strength is going to be there. Because the lie that we live in life is that we're not good enough. No one understands us.
Yeah.
We're not adequate enough. I'm going to throw some math out there.
Let's go.
Okay. How many different types of personality traits are there? We say Enneagram's only 9.
Yeah.
And even on your basic personality test, I want to say there's 24.
Something.
Okay. We'll even say
there's like the Myers-Briggs.
Right. So let's say 100. Let's say 100.
Sure.
We'll say 100 personality traits. It's easy for me.
Yeah.
How many people live on the earth?
Lots. I think we're approaching 7 or 8 billion, right?
We're about we'll say 7 billion.
Okay.
Which means you represent, in the math, 70 million people.
Yeah.
You represent 70 million people's opinions. So when you go, well, no one understands it. 70 million people do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just a perspective shift, man.
Yeah.
It's this
There's 70 million of us that feel this way.
Yeah. And that's if you do 100 personality.
Yeah.
And we've even seen that that's not necessarily
Yeah.
the case. And that doesn't mean that you're going to agree on everything, right? That doesn't mean that that person's exactly you. But when it comes to the core of you and the core of your decision making and how you go, there's about 70 million people that are the same.
And I think, and to go back, we've talked a lot about staying away from the island mentality that I'm in this
by myself.
I'm in this by myself. It's just me. Oh my
No.
gosh. And the negative, cliff jump that is for your personality and for your spirit. But when we counter that loneliness, when we counter that, this is just me going through this, because you can have a bad day. You can have a bad day. Permission to have as many bad days as you need to. I think the biggest thing is knowing that however you feel, you're not the only one that's feeling it.
Yeah.
However bad your day was, there are people truly experiencing the same thing.
Absolutely.
And people that have experienced it and survived it and come out on the other end.
Absolutely.
I think the second that we have that I'm alone in this mentality, I think that's the enemy. Call it like it is.
Well, yeah.
I think it's the enemy whispering into your ear, hey, it's just you.
Yeah. Well, it's the end of your relationship too.
Yeah.
I'm alone in this marriage.
Yeah.
It's over.
Gone.
I'm alone as a parent.
Yeah.
It's over. That person's there and you're not reaching out to them. You're not having, well, they should know. Oh my, don't say that. What if they don't?
Yeah.
What if they don't?
And everybody's, not everybody, many have lost the ability to communicate. COVID didn't help.
Nope.
Right. I can't imagine that COVID helped in any way. Anybody's ability to have communication.
It isolated, polarized, and created malicious intent behind normal intent. Everyone was looking for the boogeyman under the bed, looking for the shadows, looking for something.
Somebody to blame.
Always, because of discomfort. And I think it's like, okay, no, in the end, even if something awful happens, you're going to have to live with the awful.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to go, okay, well, what's the next step?
Yeah.
But if you let the awful define you, right? And that goes into arrested development, right? If you're like, oh, I want to have a good relationship, but so-and-so broke me so much and I can never love and I can never be in another relationship. You need to let it go because you are now developmentally arrested.
Yeah.
You are now
tied
into chains.
I love that.
You can't get past it.
Yeah.
And people that it's like, well, that person's happy all the time. I'll never be that happy. No. They are choosing. They may have the crappiest day.
Yeah.
They're choosing it. And people that are mad and sad all the time, you're choosing it.
Yeah.
We have to make those decisions, or we become developed by those decisions.
Yeah.
And then we allow them to hold us into captivity.
Yeah.
And then at that point we go, oh, well, divorce makes sense. What?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no one else is going to love me, so I've got to love myself. Well, okay, yeah, no, self-love is good.
Absolutely.
But to the point of degradation to where you never love another person?
No.
Like, and it's easy for us to talk about this because we have the same moral compass. And it's like, if you don't have a moral compass, that's the best way to put this. I don't want to piss a bunch of people.
I think it's boundaries. I think it comes back to boundaries, because moral compass requires a foundation.
Yep.
And if you were never shown that foundation by your folks or grandparents or your upbringing, then you are left out in the wind to seek out what is normal in a world where what is truth is now fluid.
Yep.
And what is fact is now fluid.
Yep.
So you're trying to gain foundation in unstable ground.
Oh, 100%.
Which is, and you begin to, you no longer scratch your chin at why there's drug epidemics and why suicide is rampant.
Yeah.
Because of course it is.
Yeah.
Because we've lost our identity, because 100%. We feel that we're alone, because we feel that whatever we go through, it's just me.
Yeah.
No one else understands. Yeah. I have no one else to talk to. I'm going to take the way out. I'm going to turn off my own light, where it's like, what can we do? What can we do relationally? What can we do in our communities? What can we do at home to meet people where they're at?
Yeah.
To love on people.
Yeah.
Start by loving yourself. Start by finding value in yourself, because you are valued.
Absolutely.
You are valued.
Oh, absolutely.
You are loved. You were beautifully created with a purpose. You are here for a reason. If you hear nothing else today, that's it.
Yeah.
You're here for a reason.
100%.
Stay alive. I love you. We love you.
Yep. Absolutely.
Hang in there. If you're going through whatever it is that you're going through, keep going.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, you know, I love the definition. Oh, well, I love artistically. There's a couple different literatures that talk about the pit of despair. Mm-hmm. You've heard the phrase.
Yep.
I mean, even in Princess Bride, he's in the pit of despair.
Yep.
Pilgrim's Progress, another wonderful book, right? So if you think of what is a pit and you fall into it. It's a blind step. You're walking, you didn't know it was there, and you fall into it. It's not conceptually, it's not something that you were observant of.
Yeah.
It's something that happened.
That catches you off.
All of a sudden, super fast, and you fell. I mean, I hate going up steps at night, because then you forget there's not an extra step, or there is an extra step, and you overstep and almost fall, or you step your toe and almost fall.
It's almost worse to think that there's a step there, and then you take a really high awkward step, and you're like, no.
Yeah, your knee's like, thanks for overcorrecting. You're like, okay, I didn't mean to do that, right? So I think that's what it's like, though, with despair. And I do have I've experienced it. You know, I've totally experienced despair. You know, I remember at one point, just got married, 2 years in, a good friend of mine that was a mentor committed suicide. And then my wife had a miscarriage. And then shortly thereafter, my dad left my mom, and they were married for 40 years, literally within 24 hours. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. I had no clue how to actually pull myself out of it.
Yeah.
And it was such a hard time. And everyone said the phrase, and you guys have probably heard it, oh, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It is, 100%. You know what phrase I never wanted to hear again? It's going to be all right. And I knew, because when you're in that state of despair, when you fall, nothing's protecting, nothing's holding you there, and you're in that. You just look up and you're like, there's still sunlight, so something's happening.
Yeah.
But you feel this hopelessness that's just huge. And it took...
To wait.
Honestly, it took me months. And I remember going to the doctor and asking for some medicine. And I said, hey, I need something. I'm jacked. I haven't really told this story too much. But yeah, I'm all jacked. And so he gave me an antidepressant. I took one. And I'm an outgoing person. Mm-hmm. I took one. We went to the store to pick something up. All of a sudden, I felt super paranoid. I felt like everyone.
Oh, really?
I felt overwhelmed. I felt all the emotions I had amplified by like 100 from taking that medicine. Now, it says in there, some of the side effects may cause these things. Yeah. Apparently, I got those things.
You got all of them.
But what it did is it shocked me enough to go, what is happening? Where I took it home. I literally rinsed it full of water, dumped it down, and went, I just need some help. Yeah. And then I was hanging out with friends and just said, hey, I need to talk. I need to get this stuff off my chest. My wife was incredible through that period because she was grieving as well. Yeah. And we just cried and talked about it and dealt with the emotions that are in there.
Met you where you were at.
100%.
It goes back to Jesus literally saying, to be all things to all men. Yeah. And then there's a season for everything. Yeah. And weep with those who are mourning and rejoice with those who are rejoicing. There's magic in that. And whether you're a Christian or not, or believer or not, or follow any religion or not, that teaching, there's magic to that teaching.
Yeah, 100%.
Period.
Yeah.
Meeting somebody where they're at. Imagine if you were the contrary. Imagine if you were depressed, you just lost a friend, and somebody's just overly bubbly and it'll be okay. That's not the radio frequency that you're on.
Strangle.
At all. Truly, right? Shut up, you don't understand.
Oh, no, for sure.
But to have, and thank God you had your wife there to meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
Now, take her away and take your friendship, relationship, your circle away. You have that bad a day.
Oh, yeah.
And you're alone. You're feeling alone.
Absolutely.
All the bad thoughts. start to go through your mind.
Oh, and then all of a sudden you start devaluing everything and you start wondering.
Yeah.
Anytime, you've experienced loss too.
Mm-hmm.
Loss with your dad. My dad passed too. But I remember right after that, a friend reached out to me and just said, "Are you ever going to get over it?"
Oh,
and I told him, I was like, some days are good. Some days are bad. Some days are awesome, and some days suck.
Yeah.
I said,
straight
but
up.
I'm here. If you need to talk, we can talk.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you it's going to be great, and I'm not going to tell you it's going to be awful. I'll tell you it's in the middle. You're going to experience all these things. Did you ever watch the show Better Call Saul?
No.
Oh my gosh, I highly recommend it, bro.
Yeah.
Do you like Breaking Bad?
The episodes that I've seen of Breaking Bad, I've enjoyed. It's a little darker, a little more granular than.
Better Call Saul is much happier.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So I say much happier. It's still about a drug realm.
Sure.
and a
Hey, all
lawyer,
good.
But
a happy drug realm.
But there's a moment in there he sees death for the first time. The lawyer sees death for the first time right in front of him, and he asks this old vet, and he goes,
Yeah.
"How do you do it? How do you deal with death?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "You don't ever get over it. You see it every day. It flashes in your mind, and then every day you have to just deal with it, move past it, and then one day you're going to wake up and you're going to brush your teeth and you're going to get ready and you're going to realize I didn't think about it." And that's how you know you're starting to get over it. And I was like, that is so much truth because that's honestly where that's at when you're in that place of despair. And I know we're supposed to be talking about relationships, but we
are because we're talking about identity.
This is the most defining thing.
Yeah.
How to deal with bad things.
Yeah.
How to deal with, because your identity needs to be forged through those things that you need to overcome. And if you've never overcome anything, how can you be anything?
Yeah.
Right.
And how can you provide anything to a relationship, whether it's a friendship or with a romantic partner or your children? If you've only ever had a great life, you're going to have a hard time contributing.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Truly. But I'd rather all my close friends to be battle tested than perfect people.
Well, that's the thing. No matter what, life is going to come at you. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And death is part of it. And you're going to have to come face to face with it. You're going to have to confront it. You're going to have a hard conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't, life is going to keep asking you those questions.
Yeah.
And until you can come and get an answer within yourself and go, you know what? I think I'll be all right. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't have to be this big grandiose thing. Now, my faith with God allows me to do that much easier.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, you're still going to have that answer.
100.
You're still going to have that conversation.
100.
You're going to have to look at mortality and go, what really matters?
Yeah.
And that doesn't I don't dog anybody that doesn't agree with me. I'm just being real with it.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you don't know. And so my friend, her father passed away, and she asked me, and I told her that, but I also told her, it's like, just let me know if you need anything. I didn't reach, I didn't push, anything you need. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Somebody passes, there's that amount. Yeah, you need some help.
Yeah.
But there's that amount of, there's a time to mourn.
Mm-hmm.
I need to mourn. I need time to rest. And so there are actual cultures that if they see somebody mourning, they'll actually just stand there and they'll mourn next to them. And they'll just stand there. They won't say anything.
And there's magic there.
And I'm like, man, that's so powerful.
The day my dad passed away, this is October 2017, October 19, 2017, the amount of texts that I had of, let me know if you need anything.
Yeah.
Which
Awesome.
in the moment feels great.
Yeah.
There was one text that I got. Shout out to my friend Teresa. She was one of my trainers at the time at the health club. She didn't say, let me know if you need anything. She just said, where are you guys? And I just said, over at my dad's house. He just passed this morning.
Yeah.
No other questions. Showed up 2 hours later with lunch.
Wow.
And I'll remember that till the day I die.
Oh, for sure.
Because reaching out to somebody who has just gone through a traumatic experience, loss of a father, loss of a parent, loss period, and asking, hey, let me know if you need anything. And I've caught myself doing this as well. So I've had friends recently that I've lost.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to apply what Teresa taught me.
Sure.
That very dark day in 2017.
For sure.
Which is not to just ask, because 99.9% of the time that person's going to respond 3 days later and say, hey, just kind of doing my best to get through it, whatever.
Yep.
If you feel you need to, and this is just where it just jumps right back in to why we're here.
Yeah.
If you feel that you need to do something, do it.
Yep.
Don't water it down with, let me know if,
because
the answer is yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Having been there and having lost, the best text that I got that day.
Where are you?
Where are you guys at?
Yeah.
I'm over my dad's house off in Drummond. And then like an hour, 2 hours later, she showed up with all this food for myself and my brothers and my aunts, just this massive spread.
That's so awesome.
And my brother's like, who was that? That was incredible. And we were all able to eat and continue to mourn.
Yeah.
But she was looking out for such a foundational.
She was giving you guys time to actually
giving us
do what you needed.
exactly what we needed.
Yeah.
Not, hey, what do you need? Well, I don't know. My dad just died. I don't know.
Yeah,
I wish my dad was still here.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
lunch also sounds nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to get kind of to the
taking care of
nitty-gritty.
you. Well, and then also words are cheap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm here if you need anything. Thank you.
I'm a phone call.
Are you?
I'm a phone call kind of person. I am not. I would rather hear the tone of somebody's voice and analyze the situation that way and go, hey, are you okay? I'd rather call them up and go, hey, you all right? Yeah. Okay. Do you need, I'm here.
Yeah.
If you need nothing, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm here. Okay, cool. Click. Just to 5 seconds of your day. Text has become, memes are good. Texts are fun. It's great. There's a purpose
Watered
for
down.
it, right? But it is so...
It's getting in the way of regular relationship.
Well, because you can't
And
hear the
regular
tone of somebody's
connectivity.
voice.
Yeah.
You ever seen the Key and Peele
Yeah.
sketch where he gets the text message? Just,
It's
I don't know, man. Whatever you want.
Whatever I want. Oh, it's so good.
He's just so mad. He's
Yeah.
like, cool, man. Like I
Cool,
said,
man. That's
whatever.
fine. Later. What the nerve?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's honestly, we perceive text messages. And so if I'm sending a text message that I know is going to be perceived weird, or I know it's a sensitive situation or
Phone
something,
call.
always phone call.
I apply that exact same thing in work. And as soon as I call that client, they're like, oh, you didn't need to call? And I'm like, as soon as I got past that first paragraph of that text, I didn't want this to be misconstrued. And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you for the time. Whether it's the weekend or evening or whatever, because communication is key.
Yeah.
Period. In work, it's absolutely key. As a lender, if somebody has a question about numbers or a loan estimate or something, if I can't clearly articulate exactly what I'm talking about in a way that they can understand it in 2 to 3, if not 4 lines, I'm calling them. Because I know I've been there.
Well, it's also a paragraph of information.
Oh my God. And it's in going through a loan to buy a house. If you, it's like speaking French underwater sometimes. And you can actually say that the other day to a client. I was like, does that make sense? Or was that like learning French underwater? And then they were quiet for like a minute. What did I do? I called them.
Yeah.
I actually video called them from Main Street, believe it or not.
That's amazing.
And they're like, where are you? And I showed them the cast. They're like, why are you calling me from Main Street? I'm like, because I didn't want that to be misconstrued. The kids are in the stroller. We're heading to Adventureland.
Yeah.
I've got 60 seconds. I just wanted to
make sure you knew.
They were obviously impressed by the fact that their lender called them from Main Street, but I wanted it to make sense. That's communication.
Yeah.
That goes back to relationships. If we're unable to properly communicate whatever we're talking about, whether it's how you feel or a friggin' loan estimate, if you cannot speak someone's language and all you know is your own language, best of luck in relationships. Best of luck at work. Best of luck with your spouse. Best of luck with your friends. If all you can speak is your own language, bro, it's just not going to work out. So it's not like you're having to learn all these other languages, but if you can just kind of sit back and be in tune with somebody else, may hear X, Y, and Z while you're saying A, B, and C, you have to kind of get into their mind and understand why they're hearing X, Y, and Z.
But that also takes the effort of caring enough to want to get into their mind, caring enough to go, okay, what they're probably thinking about this. If I'm in that situation, this is what I would be doing. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to, why not?
Yeah.
Worst thing that happens is they know I care.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. I have never, someone's like, hey man, you okay? And I don't reply and they show up at my house. I'm like, oh, my phone wasn't about to be like, oh, just checking on you. I was like, oh, well, come on in, let's hang out,
That's
let's have a cup of
awesome.
coffee.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be like,
Those people are the best.
how dare you? I'm never going to do that.
Those people are the best.
I don't know anybody that would go that far.
Those people are angels, man.
Yeah, well, because they genuinely care.
Yeah.
And I think we're all looking for that connection. We're all looking for that thing.
And the best way to do it or find it is to be it.
Yes.
Because if you become that, you will start to see it more and more. If you become the friend that checks in, and if you are a close friend of mine, you can speak to this.
Sure.
If you are seeking out friendships where you can get that random text, hey, how's your day going? Everything good? If you don't have that yet, be that.
Yeah.
Set that foundation amongst your own circle and see how quickly it's reciprocated.
Absolutely.
It's like, whew, it's magic. And getting those texts, I mean, if it's a close buddy of mine, like, okay, well, our relationship for a second. We've known each other. We've been good friends since second grade. Second grade. I love you.
I love you too.
Our friendship is it's awesome. I love, you can't have new old friends.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
It's a treasure. It truly is.
Yeah.
It truly is. So having those relationships and leaning into them, you are probably one of my most tenured long-term friendships that I have. And I love that foundation there. But for those who don't have those kind of, I can call Joe on any day of the week.
Yep.
And express exactly how I'm feeling. And he is going to take the time to meet me where I'm at, talk me through whatever I'm going through. And I love that about you. I love that about our relationship. So few have that.
I know.
So how does somebody establish that? I feel they establish that by being that amongst their friends and showing and kind of guiding their friendship circle to a new place of intimacy to where people can be real and authentic. And oh my gosh, if your current friendship circle lacks that, it may be time to grow past it.
Absolutely.
You can't soar with the eagles if you're hanging with the turkeys. It may be time to elevate a little bit.
All you do is when you're in your circle, you're talking about what's wrong with your circle.
Or talking about other circles,
you need
people.
to reassess everything too, because you don't know. I think it's, I think to answer, actually, I think that Angelica, I don't know, I said Teresa because
you're thinking of Teresa.
Earlier,
yep.
Angelica actually said it great. In order for her to be a therapist, she didn't know what it was. She didn't know what it was when she was a little girl about being a therapist. And then she talked with somebody and helped her through a situation. And she's like, it's okay. I do therapy. She's like, well, what's that? I didn't know what that was. That person put that seed inside.
Yeah.
And now she grew into that. And now that's what she does.
Yeah.
I think that that's the magic. The magic is putting on the mask in an emergency on yourself first before you put it on the child. Do not try and fix your friends. It is not your job to fix your friends. You fix yourself.
Yeah.
And then the friendships will go, well, why is this still happening this way? They will ask those questions. They're going to figure all those things out. But you fix yourself. It's like, oh, well, I'm eating bad food because so-and-so gave me bad food. Well, you didn't have to eat it. I know I'm trying to lose weight, but so-and-so helped me. You didn't have to do that. You're the one in charge of your life.
Yep.
If you haven't heard that today, you're the one in charge of your life.
Yep.
Nobody else is.
Yep.
Take care of yourself. Find somebody you can talk to. That's why we have therapists. The day when we don't, magic.
Wonderful. And I've been told Larissa that and Angelica. I'm like, it'd be awesome to not have therapists. They're like, huh? Like, do you understand? They're like, oh yeah, got it.
No, absolutely.
If we were in a spot as society where relationally we got everything that we needed, from friendship or romantic partners, whoever, what a beautiful place. But because we're not there, or let's just say we're not there yet, we have those services. So I mean, if you need it, gosh,
be the change.
Lean in.
Well, and be the change you want to be, and if you want to see results in your life, then move towards those things. It's like when I talk about music, art. I love all of these different things, and when I teach somebody music, and they're like, "Oh, I just don't have time," and you break it down. How many hours in a day? How many hours are you working? How many hours do you sleep? Okay, you've got 5 hours that you want to TikTok. That's fine. Then don't lie to me, and don't lie to yourself. you do have the capability, you do have the time, you just don't want to invest it. Then it's not a priority. And I think that is where it's at.
That's true.
What is your priority? If relationships are your priority, then your relationships are going to thrive. Business is your priority. The business will thrive. You're going to overcome because you're focusing on it. You're taking care of what needs to be taken care of. And if you get to the point where people are in your care that are taking care of those things with you, then that's just leadership. And then all of a sudden you've taken care of yourself enough where people are like, I like that person. I wanna work with them because something about them is different. They care about me, or they actually ask me questions that challenge me, and I don't feel like they're judging me. You need to be that for other people so they can be that for others, and it all starts with you going and finding help, getting around some people that can do that. The best thing that ever happened to me at a young age, I was 19 when I was dating Regina, and I was 20 before I left, but we were at the old church that we went to, and I had been there for so long that
no,
that was my brother. I was at New Life. I was at New Life for so long, and nothing against it at all, but I was there for so long, that's all I knew, and all I knew were the same conversations, the same arguments, the same people. I gave the same hugs, the same handshakes. But when we left and I went to a new place, everything became, and I was like, whoa, and I didn't realize that I was holding myself back from more relationships. The walls that are built around things are meant to be broken. Right? I think it's so easy for us to get comfortable and go, these are the people forever. Well, yeah, they should be, but you also should have other people as well.
It'd be like if you only ever put salt and pepper on your food. Right? And there in those relationships that you haven't invested in yet, there's the tahini, and there's the Traeger rub, and there's the this, that, and the other, and all these other
cumin, paprika,
exactly, all these other spices are right there. But you're like, oh, it's salt and pepper for me. So I think to summarize today and to put a cap on
landing the plane.
To put a cap on Love Month, finding out who you are, leaning into, and again, look up. We'll throw a link on there for the Enneagram. Annie, thank you for chiming in today. I love hearing your voice on the podcast. We're going to do more of that moving forward.
You guys are so sweet.
To land the plane, the biggest contributing factor to success relationships is you. It's not your partner. It's not what they bring to the table. It's you, and it's what you bring to the table. And if you don't know yet what you bring to the table, strip everything else away and have that conversation of who am I? What do I want? What do I not want? And once you understand those, and if you don't have somebody to offload that with, reach out to a therapist, reach out to the Angelica Gomers, and reach out to the Larissa Childers of the world, and reach out to anyone. You can look it up online. There's now apps that you can literally chime in and text right then and there a therapist. I think that's a wonderful tool.
Oh, it's amazing.
So get around people. Love yourself.
ChatGPT is not a therapist, by the way.
No, it's not.
I'm throwing it out there.
No,
AI
it's not. It's not. It's not the way. Don't ask Alexa, hey, what is wrong with me?
She'd be like,
she may
give
you
Would you like a list?
I'm like, Alexa, unplug yourself. Update. No, to thine own self be true. Figure out what it is that makes you tick. Know that you are loved. Know that you're here for a reason. Stay alive.
Got it.
Love you.
Love you too, man. Thank you for checking out the Cam and Joe Show.
If you guys are liking our content so far, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also listen to us on Spotify.